Karchalle tinagani ebedang gugubani Kilinto tinagani ebedang gugubani Otho samno fidumu akamin challisani yo batte batti male sarefi jalli.
Thank you so much. This is nice to come back together again. This is Oromo show, Tempo Afric TV. And before I say anything, and I would like to introduce my special guest for today. My special guest is Nageso Odo Dube. Nageso is a graduate from the Addis Ababa University, LLB. He also worked in Ethiopia as a attorney and also as a professor of the law. And then he moved to the United States in 2014 due to the repression that is happening to every Oromo ethnic group. And more, Nageso can introduce himself. And thank you, Nageso, for coming to the show. And would you like to introduce yourself more?
Thank you, Jala, for introducing me and for inviting me here. I want to correct the way you said my name. My name is Nageso. And joined Addis Ababa University and in the year 2000. And I have been, in the university, I've been very active, organizing students and usually advocating for the right of Oromo people. So in the year 2000, I was chairman of Oromo Student Union, and by the time we had some demonstration by which I was arrested for 3 years for organizing protest in the university. And then after that, I graduated in the year 2009 from Addis Ababa University with a law degree. And then I served, as you mentioned it, I served as attorney, I served as instructor of law. And after that, I also kept on my activism as a human rights defender and activist. I ran for general parliamentary election in 2010, representing Oromo People's Congress and maybe the larger coalition called Madrak. In the year 2012, we succeeded in merging two Oromo political parties called Oromo People's Congress and the Oromo Federalist Democratic Movement into one party called Oromo Federalist Congress. I came to United States in the year 2013, in July 2013, and I could not go back home because the political situation in Ethiopia is very bad, and there is a lot of repression and a lot of, it is very dangerous for my life. So I am here in the United States, but I still continued my activism in United States, organizing the exiled Oromos, the Oromo diaspora, to support the human rights situation in Ethiopia. We advocate on behalf of the Oromo people because there is no free media in Ethiopia. People cannot voice their grievances, so we have to voice their grievances here. And I then established, and I am leading an advocacy organization called Oromo Federalist Congress International Support Group, or in short, OFCISG. So I am here and I'm an Oromo activist, human rights defender, and actively participating and advocating for the right of Oromo people.
Okay, thank you so much. This is very self-explanatory answer that you provided. And one thing that a lot of people are worried about, especially in the United States and around the world, when it comes to Oromo and the Oromia, is that there is a protest, and now actually found, to be a revolution going on in the country. Am I right?
Yes, you're right. The protest did not begin recently. However, the recent protest, which is still going on, was started in November 12, 2015, and is still going on. However, even before that, in 2014, there was a protest in which government killed about 75 people, killed about 75 lives, and this one is a continuation of the 2014 protest. Now it is there for 11 months, in which we lost about more than 1,000 people. Maybe you may remember that there was a grand rally in August 6, in which from more than 250 towns in Oromia regional state, people demonstrated, in which on that day, government killed more than 80 people. It was 50 by the time, but some died after a while. I mean, we discovered more people. So, and the next day, on August 7, the same protest continued in Amhara region, in Bahar Dar, in which the same way 50 people were killed. So the thing is, there have always been protests in Ethiopia. However, the grievance became higher and higher, and this time it exploded. It exploded, and government could not control it. The thing is, it began with the land question of land. According to Ethiopia, can I go to the cause of protest and explain from that?
We'll come to that. So, what is the main cause of the protest in the country? That is what most of the international attention is not clear about, the cause of the protest. Is it due to land grab, which I believe the 90% of the population of Ethiopia, especially the Oromo, survive in farmland? Is it about land grab? Do you have anything to say about it?
Yeah, that is a question. This thing, the question of land is very fundamental in Ethiopia. This question has always been there. I mean, especially in 1960s, when students and people demonstrate and oppose the monarch, Haile Selassie, that was a question of land and land to tiller. That question did not get answered yet. When the military socialist junta came to power, it said people have the right to use the land. It said, it proclaimed land to tiller, but people did not have ownership over their land. And in 1991, the EPRDF, who went to the bush and fought the military regime and who came to power again, did not still allow the ownership of land to the people or to individuals. It said it gave the ownership of the land to the government. So the question of land is still there, because land is the greatest wealth in that country, the capital. The wealth of the people in Ethiopia basically is the land. When people do not have ownership of the land, it means that there is economic marginalization. Their livelihood is land, and government owns it. Government can sell it to investors with whatever amount it wants. But people did not have the ownership and cannot claim their land. They can easily be evicted. Government continue to evict from their land and give it to the Chinese investors, give it to the Indian investors and the others. So people did not have other option, and they have to rise against this, and they have to protest the land grab. And the immediate cause is the land grab. However, there are other grievances, like people do not have freedom, there is political, economic, and social marginalization. The marginalization of Oromos has been there for more than 100 years since the formation or since the establishment of the modern Ethiopia.
Okay. I think the international media was reporting about the cause of the protest in the Oromia region is about the expansion of Addis Ababa master plan. After about 500 people's life were claimed, the government said, a spokesperson in fact said that the master plan was already cancelled. However, the protest continued and now into a, what they call it, a revolution. Do you have anything to say about it?
To start with, the question of the people is this. It's not only land grab. There is a question. In 1991, after transitional government, the country was made, structured in a federal, Ethiopia was a federal state. However, that federalism was simply a fake. It is not real federalism. Therefore, people want self-rule. People, the Oromo people, for example, want to see a real federalism, self-rule. So that is why the federal government, which is manipulated by TPLF, few individuals of the Tigrayan People's Liberation Front, they almost rule the regions through their intelligence apparatus. So the regional state did not have autonomy to rule their own state. So there is a question of self-rule. And that is why the master plan was easily tried to incorporate or try to take the land from Oromia regional state. They tried to put that land under Addis Ababa to easily evict the people, the farmers, and use it for any purpose they like. So there is a question of self-rule. There is a question of land grab. There is a question of, for example, language. Of an Oromo to be federal working language. And there is a question of freedom, as you know. There is a question of democracy. And there is economic, social, political questions which are not answered, which was not addressed. And people have this legitimate grievance from the regime. And now the protest broke out. And after the protest began, the action of the government was not to listen to the people's grievance. Rather, the action of the government was killing. It kept on killing. And it kept on arresting political leaders, people such as Bekele Garba, who was a vice chairman of the Oromo Federalist Congress. He is a peace activist. And they arrested him and more people, like about 6,000 members of Oromo Federalist Congress, because this is a political party legally registered in Ethiopia. Maybe it's a big political party, and it is a member of the largest coalition, maybe the greatest opposition, called Madrak, which has 4 parties, one from Tigray, Arena Tigray, one from Southern People, Nation and Nationalities, one and from Andenet 2, UDJ. Therefore, they have to target these people. They have to target journalists. A lot of journalists are arrested. They have to target anybody any dissent, or anybody who they assume to be threat to their power. So, in general, the people have these all grievances. Then the action of government was, as I told you, arresting and killing. That is how they want to address the grievance of the people. Then the question, and there are more questions, like release free political prisoners and justice for the people who are killed, justice for the victims. And there are more questions, more preconditions from the people, and that could not stop the protest. Killing and arresting could not stop the protest. People kept on protesting, and the protest widened its scope and went to other ethnic groups. The Oromo ethnic group is the largest ethnic group, which constitutes about 40% of the total population. And now the protest expanded to Amhara, the second largest ethnic group, which has a claim of land, which is under Tigray region. So it expanded, its scope grew And it's going on still.
So that was a Wolkite issue, right?
Yep. The Wolkite people, I mean, the identity of the Wolkite is not decided in accordance with the constitution. I mean, the people should have been given the right to choose whether they are Amhara or Tigray, but the TPLF simply they put the Wolkite people, they put that land under the Tigrayan regional state.
Okay, and you know, it's very scary and dangerous to even look at it for a human being. That is for what they call Irecha Oromo Thanksgiving Festival. And as you can see the video right there, people are merely being killed. Those people who are holding nothing but just a flower for their Thanksgiving Day and some traditional type of grass in their hand, those people get into the river area where they celebrate their own Thanksgiving Day, and we see that the bullets, the helicopter raining the bullets on the people. What the world is just watching, and the country's prime minister was refusing to admit that nobody was killed of gun violence in that day, where the European Union was saying that about 678 people were killed. And what do you think about this?
Yeah, the question is not whether they shoot, whether they fired bullet or not. The question is, they should have, they have the duty to protect the people against any danger, any damage. Those people are not armed people. They only have grass. They even wear traditional clothes. Even they can't carry anything in their hand. So these people, the only thing that happened that day was when political leaders, or maybe the leaders on the side of the government, try to speak to the mass, to the participants of the festival, they resisted, and a boy snatched the speaker and just chanted "Down, down, Wayane," which means down, down the government. So that is only what the people chanted, and the government took action. They dropped tear gas from the helicopter, and there were gunshots, and there were explosions. I mean, as you see it from the video. Therefore, people should run away from that. People should, when they drop things, explosive things from the helicopter, when there are gunshot, when there are gunfire, people has to run away. So the place was, there are millions of people. There is not enough space. People should push each other. Some fell into ditch. Some were shot. Some fell into ditch. Maybe some were due to the concentration of the tear gas, maybe the chemical. Some died of that. Some went into the lake. And then after that, we heard about 678 people were killed at that very moment. I mean, within an hour. So it is so sad, and the Ethiopian government has to be made accountable. There has to be independent investigation to this occurrence, to this massacre.
It's very interesting because this is Tempo Afric TV. Most of the African leaders, African Union, watches it, and many even American and Europeans around the world watches this media. This interview. So, so basically,
actually, to add something on this, can I say? To add something on this, just the same day the government announced, I mean, what you call this, what you call it? Yes.
Yeah, the Grievance Day for memory for those who
for those who are killed on that day, for those who are massacred, for the deaths, and the flag of the country was
halfway down.
Yes,
okay.
Was down, and they said the government is sorry for that, and the country was under grievance. It means they admitted, recognized it. But people were so emotional everywhere in the country. I mean, you don't expect a government to attack people at their religious or cultural, customary, traditional festivals. So that was so sad, and that made people emotional, and people were reacting throughout the country. Mostly people reacted, and some destroyed, some properties were destroyed.
So,
however, the government only focused on the property. They never focused on the life of the people. While in the 11 months they killed more than 1,000 people, they didn't care. No one person, no single person were held accountable for killing peaceful protesters. The only thing the protesters show is a protest sign which they raise their hand like this. Just because they showed that protest, no to land grab and no to their rule, they killed more than 1,000 people. No single policeman, no single Agazi force were held accountable. To start with, to begin with, immediately after protest began in November 2015, somewhere in December in 2015, government came out and apologized for the action of the killing. They said the protest was against the master plan, and they said they canceled the master plan. They said the master plan is no more there. Then after that, the prime minister came on a TV in a parliament. They said he begged apology from Oromo people for the action. But that apology was not put into action. We didn't see any action of apology on the side of government. They kept on killing. If they have to beg excuse from the people, they should release political prisoners, which they arrested as a result of this protest. They should have compensated the families, and they should made those who killed innocent civilians and protesters accountable. But nothing has been done. And they actually also admitted using unproportional force, use of force to the Assistant Secretary of the State Department, Greenfield. Okay. Yeah, they talked to that. That was aired on the media. They said they admitted that using excessive force. Okay. So after all this, all the time the government come out and try to do, that all they say is simply to stop the protesters from protesting, to just create some kind of, to keep on their rule and to keep people from protesting, not to bring any change to their system. Now recently they changed the president or the chairman of the Oromia organization, Oromo People's Democratic Organization, which is almost equivalent to President, Oromia Regional State President and Vice President, but that would not change anything. The government is not taking the right action. The government is not conducting dialogue with opposition parties and with whatever. It should take real action. People want real change. They are not doing that.
Do you think there are many comments that is coming out, especially after the massacre in Ethiopia against the Oromo ethnic group and Amhara as well? But here is a very interesting question that are coming up from a lot of people who are viewing this live interviews. And they are saying, they are questioning whether Ethiopia has a government stand right now, because they know Oromia has been under military command, high post command for over 11 months now. And do you think Ethiopia has a government now, without saying the state of emergency, without mentioning that? I want you to answer whether Ethiopia has a government or not. now?
I can't say Ethiopia has a government now. Actually, even before, Ethiopia did not have a legitimate government. This government has never been elected by the people. Elections were just a fake, a sham elections. Elections were made just to get aid from the West, just to, it's just a symbolic kind of, just to show to the world that Ethiopia is also conducting elections and that there is democracy going on. And that way they can get support, foreign aid from the West. That is the only reason why they conduct election. There has never been an election in Ethiopia. Maybe in 2005, the election, the campaign part, until the election day, it was good. But even then, on the election day, the Prime Minister came out and declared a state of emergency on which the election, the votes were not counted properly.
This was
so
in
2005. 2005. That was
okay.
A little bit, it looks like election, before the election day. Until the election day, it was good. I mean, it was competitive. There was campaign, the opposition and the ruling party came on TV and they were debating just like any other democratic country. But after that, on the election day, it stopped because the Prime Minister came out and said, declared a state of emergency. That means it didn't want the election to go the right way, and it didn't want to leave power because he understood that the opposition won the election. So he didn't want to leave power, and his party didn't want to leave power. So they declared that. So that means that is the only time which the election looks a little bit election. Then 4 or 5 elections were there. None of that was an election. There was election in 2000. There was election in 1995, in 2000, in 2005, in 2010. Now in 2015 even, they won 100%. In 2010, they won 99.6%. Only one from opposition party. They say they won. They claim they won, but they didn't. It was not an election. How they win? I mean, where there is no election, where there is no competition, where there is no space, how can that be an election? It's not an election. So there is, people do not have options. The only option is this non-violent protest, non-violent revolution. That's what is going on in Ethiopia now. Now the thing is, the allies of Ethiopia, especially the West, has a duty. They are duty bound to act immediately. Otherwise, that country would go to another direction, to bad direction. We can face the fate of, okay.
Before we go there, I'm gonna change the question here. So you've answered that it looks like Ethiopia doesn't have a government now at the moment. And we also heard that there is a state of emergency declared a few days ago. And many people, 1,000 of them, saying the country is already under the state of emergency for the last 11 months. Why is it necessary to do a state of emergency this time? So this is a question of a lot of people. Can you answer this?
The thing is, the country has been under a state of emergency because the government has been killing people and nobody is accountable in the last 11 months. The government has been arresting people without warrant and without anything, as it likes. And there is mass arrest. People were arrested in a concentration camp, in military camps, in schools, everywhere. I mean, every institution turned it into prison. So declaring now a state of emergency is a kind of the last resort, or maybe they want to formalize that. Maybe they want to commit more killings, more massacre, and maybe commit genocide. They have already been committing genocide, actually, because they have been killing mothers, they have been killing elders, they have been killing children, and they have been committing all that. So,
okay,
yeah. So we can't say this state of emergency is serious because state of emergency has always been there. It has always been there. I mean, for the last 11 months. So this one is meaningless. It doesn't make any difference.
Okay. So the state of emergency that was declared is really nothing but a way of trying to buy the time to stay on power if possible and keep killing as many people as they can by hijacking the media, and there is no free press in the country, there is no internet in the country. So that's what you're trying to explain. Am I correct?
Yes, you're right.
Okay.
So
the next question would be, you know, what do you think it means for the Oromo people? And there is some speculation that came out actually from the government officials that they are trying to put Abadullah Gamada on power to make him the prime minister of the country. Second, they're trying to make Afan Oromo the official language of the country. And third one is they are going to allow the Oromo resistance flag in the country. Therefore, if Abadullah Gamada is elected, let's say they put him president, and they make Afan Oromo the official language, and they allow Oromo resistance flag in the country, would that answer the question of the Oromo people?
No, that would not answer the question of Oromo people.
Well,
in the first place,
information came out from the government office that there is a speculation.
In the first place, I don't buy that idea. I don't think they will do that. They may appoint Abadullah to be a prime minister, because even the existing the prime minister in power, the incumbent, has been appointed by them and has no real power, because he is not among the people who built the system. The system is there. He is an individual. They put him in there. He doesn't have real power, because the real power vests in those people in the circle who fought the military, who came to power, and who it vests within TPLF. The real power vests within TPLF. Therefore, the Prime Minister Haile Mariam do not have real power, because he doesn't. The military were laid, maybe the 90% and more generals are from TPLF, and the intelligence were controlled by them. So Haile Mariam did not have any chain, and he doesn't have real power.
So that
even
means,
Abadullah.
So that means he's a puppet.
He's a puppet, yeah.
Okay.
Haile Mariam, Prime Minister Haile Mariam Desalegn is just a puppet. Even himself, I think he's under surveillance, and anytime they can throw him from that power. And even if they appoint Abadullah, the people are not asking a single individual to come to power to power, like one leaving office and another getting into office, or the change of people do not make any sense and do not change the system. The problem lies within the system, and it is the system that has to change. It's not individual. Whether individual come and go, that doesn't change anything. The problem is with the system. The problem is with the policy which the system produces. Therefore, that will not stop the protest, and that will not change anything. And I don't think they allow, for example, the federal, making Afan Oromo federal working language, I don't think they will do that. To do that, they have to amend the constitution. And these people are not ready to amend the constitution. Even they can't amend the constitution. The constitution is made in such a way that it's very difficult to amend it. So,
well, they change the constitution anytime they want if they feel like doing it, right? They're doing it anytime.
They can't. They have never touched the constitution. They can't amend I don't think they can amend it. Maybe if Malles was alive, he would have done somewhere. I mean, the way the procedure for amendment of constitution is very rigid one. So it is very difficult to amend that constitution. So I don't think they do that. I don't think also they allow the resistance flag. They may do that one, but whether they do these three things, even if they make these three things, that doesn't change anything.
Okay, in case that, let's hope Abadullah Gamada will probably be able to watch this, do you advise him to take that offer if given?
I don't advise him to take that offer.
Okay.
Because he can't change anything.
Okay, so there was also a speculation that he's refusing, saying that this is a dead end, and I'm not going to take this position because the only chance, he was saying, I will get killed, and I'm not. Everything is over. That's the kind of information
So
we get
what
things
people
anyway.
should know, people who are in power in Ethiopia should know is they are accountable for all those killings, for all these human rights abuses, for all tortures committed. I myself am a torture survivor. They tortured me in Makalawi in the year 2004.
That was the main prison camp in Ethiopia,
I have
right?
been in Kaliti.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
I was accused and I mean
Accused of what?
detained.
Accused of terrorism, right? Anyway, everyone.
Yeah,
is
by
found-
then actually that proclamation has not been there.
Okay.
That proclamation of terrorism was not there, but
Was
they
not
just accused.
established,
There was
okay.
some article in the penal code called under Article 252, arms raising against government. We're students, we don't have any arms. They accused us of that, and being member of OLF, which we even were not, and so. So that was how they accused us, and they set us free after 3 years. I mean, they said you're free after detaining us for 3 years. So not only that, I have seen in my naked eyes, in October 2004, out of 30, we were 30 in one file. 2 of my friends died in Kaliti prison. One, for example, Alamayo Garba. These people are Alamayo Garba and Gaddisa Hirpasa. Both were killed by these people. Gaddisa was tortured and died. Alamayo Garba was shot. The day Alamayo Garba was shot in October 2004, he was shot. And let me narrate the scenario. What happened? The time was during lunchtime, and protest was going on in the city in Addis Ababa due to that election 2005. And that the supporters of CUD, the opposition party, who got more than 109 chairs in the parliament.
Which is Coalition for
Unity and
Democracy,
Democracy.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, so the supporters of CUD were uprising, were demonstrating in the town. So that day in the prison, 1 or 2 people were not. They quarreled with the police and they threw a stone to a police.
There was disagreement with the police.
There was
okay?
disagreement between some 2-3 prisoners
Okay.
between police. They threw a stone to the police. Then the policies, which were some were in a higher position, in a higher place where they sit, they have built houses where they control us.
Okay.
They started to fire at us, at the prisoners. The prisoners are within the compound. Nobody tried to leave that compound. Some are in the house. Just some are lying on their bed, on the mattress. Some are just simply walking. Some are eating. No, they started to fire at us. With this firing, they started to kill people. Continued to fire. Most of us lied on the ground. We lie on the ground, and some people in some of the houses were built out of iron sheets, and the bullets were just getting into the house and killing people in the house, people in the room,
So
in the prison. Yes.
So the people who are already in prison.
Yes, that
the
very
gun
day,
shot to them?
I have seen 109 dead bodies in my own naked eyes.
When was what year was this again?
That was in October 2014.
2014.
Yeah, 2004.
2004.
No. October 2005. I'm so sorry for that.
After CUD election,
Yes,
which is
after,
2005.
yes.
Okay.
The election was in May 2005, and
So
then
this
that
government is
happened in
shooting on the
October.
people that are already captured, that are already in jail?
Yes, in Kaliti prison. That is what happened. I saw a
terrible.
lot of injured people in my room. For example, an Indris, a person from Wollo, was injured on his buttock. He was in his room. And a lot of people, wounded people. And I remember Mosisa, daddy, he died now. The bullet shot over 2 of his legs, like with 1 bullet. So a lot of people died that day. Alamayo Garba was shot that day. And 109 people. And the government has established inquiry commission, a commission that investigative commission from the assigned by parliament. They came, they registered all that. Actually, some of them left the country with the document, and now they are in the United States. But the report to the parliament was the government force was not excessive. It was proportional, and it was right. Actually, the chairman of that inquiry commission, he left the country with a document because the prime minister told him to correct his report. So that is what happens in Ethiopia. That has been repeated recently. They killed people and they burned the prison in Kilinto. That is what happened. Even we can't know the number of people killed.
Before Kilinto, I think there was a prison camp that was burned in Amhara region in Gondar, I believe, where over 500 political prisoners were held. And they say that close to 40 people are killed while escaping the fire, and many of them died and burned alive in there. And then the Kilinto, of course, were over how many thousand Oromo political prisoners in there?
More than 10,000. By the way, to tell you one thing, to mention one thing. In 2005, when those people, the 109 people killed, the Ethiopian television reported only 7 people were killed and 26 were wounded. You see that? It's so amazing. But more than 100 people were killed.
So in Kilinto, close to 10,000 people were there in jail, and the prison camp was burned, and you said you don't have information how many people died, how many people survived.
Yeah, not exactly.
And just in less than just 2 weeks after that prison camp was burned, the Recha festival, where the video that you saw, many people died, and then another prison camp was burned in Yabello area a few days ago. Another one in Zowai a few days ago again.
Now it's still continuing.
So
I think that's today.
These leaders are getting away with burning people alive and killing protesters, and they just keep getting away with the murder. So what do you want to say to the Western leaders? Do you think, before you answer that question, do you think what is going on in Ethiopia is a genocide?
In the strict sense of the term, a genocide is when people killing take place with intention to eliminate in whole or in part of a certain group.
Do you think that's not what is happening now?
So it is very important now to
call it genocide.
We have to see the intention. Is there intention or not? I see that there is intention to eliminate the people. Actually, one word or a sentence, a statement said by the late Prime Minister shows us there is an intention to commit genocide. That is, he said it is possible we can reduce the number of population of the Oromo. It is possible to reduce, to make lesser the number, and it is possible to reduce their land, and it is possible to reduce their population.
Okay.
Which shows that, we can infer from that there is an intention to commit genocide against these people, and there are some terminology, some words, and things. There are a lot of things that show there is intention to eliminate in whole or in part of this ethnic group.
Okay, so what message do you have for Western leaders before we finish our?
Yeah, I have a message for Western leaders and
the African Union.
for Africa, for any regional organization or international organizations. For international organization, all I want to say is, while you were sitting and watching, You may remember a lot, what have been happening in Rwanda. You may recall what has been happening in Yugoslavia or in other countries, including Syria. It is imperative to act before things go out of hand. It is imperative to act. Sometimes we have to respect our values. The West, international organization, should abide by the values they set, the human rights values, and there has to be humanity for these people. We have to go beyond the interest sometimes. And the Horn of Africa, as it is now, cannot get stability unless the right of this ethnic majority has been respected. Unless a government that can respect human rights, that rule of law, that can bring justice and freedom to the people, come in power. As sometimes there are these theories saying that even some dictatorial government, some authoritarian government, if they bring economic boom, economic development, that's okay. No, that cannot be okay in Ethiopia. In the first place, all the economic boom and all those economic development were a lie. It was fabrication. There is no economic development in Ethiopia. The people are hungry, and there is always a famine. So there is no economic development. All those are numerical fabrications. So there is no economic development. There is no freedom. There is no right. With this, people cannot tolerate. And any organization, any international, for example, UN should push to get into that and investigate the killings, should push to free all political prisoners in that country, should push for inclusive government in Ethiopia, should push for transitional government in Ethiopia in which all stakeholders should participate, and that country will get peace, and that country will go to justice and development. So even the West wants, there is a strategic interest from Ethiopia. They can't achieve that strategic interest with this government.
So the fundamental principle of democracy is majority leads and minorities' right respected, right? That's a fundamental principle of democracy.
Yes.
And what we see in Ethiopia is the opposite. So which technically means
we can't talk about majority. We can't talk about majority and the minority where there is no election. You say majority or minority if there is election. Majority is not ethnic thing. Majority and minority is the idea people vote for. Where there is no election, how can you know which one is majority and which one is minority? You can't know. Usually the concept is there not for ethnic population. The minority is for the idea you support. For example, here you say Democrats are majority and Republican and minority in the House, or this one is majority, okay, or vice versa. But there is no election in Ethiopia, so how can you know about majority and minority? So we can't know about that. So the thing is, I want also to call up on American people. The government of America supporting the Ethiopian government, giving aid, supporting Ethiopian military for the sake that Ethiopian forces, Ethiopia sends military to Al-Shabaab, and while itself is a terrorist against its people, while itself kills with the weapon it got from the United States, it kills with the snipers, it kills individuals, protesters. The terrorist government is fighting another terrorist. That should not continue. The American people should stand. I call on American people to call on their government to stop supporting such a brutal regime.
Well,
this is very...
Thank you so much, and we will pass your message to the world and U.S. government and the U.S. American people. Tempo Afric TV will do all its best to stand with the Oromo, and hope... anything you want to say before we end our program today?
All I want to say is that
the people back home.
Yes, what surprises you and what really disappoints you is not the regime that decided to kill people and to brutally crack down, but it is a silence of our friends. It's not the brutality of the enemy. It's the silence of the entire world.
So so international community silence is what is
striking.
Well, basically there is no oil in there, and there is no basic interest, and they really don't care about what happened. That usually happen in the Western leaders. They usually look for where they can grab what they need.
Yeah, it is very important. I mean, for example, I am living in the U.S. U.S.'s friendship should be with Ethiopian people, not with the government. I mean, when the government is such brutal, I mean, it is better to choose the people. I mean, because Ethiopian people are good people. They like United States. In the United States, friendship should be with Ethiopian people. It should side with the people. It should not support the government that kills innocent civilians. It should say, stop here.
Okay, thank you so much. It's good to be with you today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much
right.
for coming. And our listeners, we end our program in here today. And thank you so much for following with us. Please, anytime go into www.tempoafrictv.com and see what is Oromo up to today. So thank you so much, and have a good evening, everyone.
Lali, 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 Oromo, lali, manke gurani, karchale tinagani, ebedang gugubani. Ilinto tinagani, ebedang gugubani. Otho sabno fidumu